when the hills finally agreed. The ridges were still blue with dawn when Kamau first understood he loved her. Mist lay across the valleys like a white blanket, and the leaves of the tea bushes glittered with cold droplets. Roosters were calling from homesteads scattered along the slopes, and smoke from early fires rose straight into the quiet sky. Kamau stood near the cattle pen, pretending to fix a rope that did not need fixing. In truth, he was waiting. He knew the path Wanjiru would take. She always passed there on her way to the river. For many years they had walked those paths as children, kicking stones, racing each other, arguing about nothing, laughing about everything. But lately, something had changed. Silence had grown between them. Not an empty silence, but one too full of feelings to speak. And then he saw her. She came over the ridge with a clay pot strapped to her back, moving carefully so it would not fall. The morning light touched her face, and for a moment Kamau forgot how to breathe. Wanjiru, he called, trying to sound normal. She turned, smiling. Kamau, you wake earlier than the sun these days. I help my father, he replied quickly, but they both knew that was not the whole truth. They walked together toward the river. Their shoulders brushed once, and both pretended not to notice. The river was low. The dry season had been stubborn. As Wanjiru knelt to fill her pot, Kamau watched the reflection of her face tremble in the water. That was when it struck him, strong and undeniable. I want to walk beside her for all my days. The thought both thrilled and frightened him, because in their land, love was never just between two people. The weight of old stories. Their family shared history, and not the good kind. Long ago, before Kamau and Wanjiru were born, there had been a dispute over land boundaries. Words had grown hot. Pride had refused to bend. Though years passed, the elders never truly forgot. Children played together, yes. Women greeted each other in the market. Life went on. But marriage? Marriage tied blood. Marriage meant trust. Marriage reopened wounds. Kamau knew this. Everyone did. Yet love has a stubborn way of growing where it is told not to. The confession. One evening, as the sky burned orange behind the hills, Kamau found Wanjiru near the banana grove. I cannot keep quiet anymore, he said, his voice shaking. If I stay silent, my heart will burst. She looked down, already knowing. My family may refuse, he continued. Your family may refuse. But before they speak, I want you to know I love you. I want to marry you in the right way, with respect, before everyone. Wanjiru's hands trembled. For months, she had prayed he would speak. Now that he had, fear walked in with joy. I love you too, she whispered. But the path will not be easy. Kamau nodded. Then we will walk it slowly. When rumors reach the elders, news in a village travels faster than wind. Before long, mothers were whispering while grinding maize. Old men shook their heads. Young people watched with curiosity. Finally, the matter reached the ears of the elders. Kamau's father called him into the house that night. Is it true? He asked. Yes, Kamau answered, forcing courage into his voice. His father sighed deeply. You choose a difficult road, my son. Do you understand what stands behind it? Ido. But I also know who stands beside me. The old man studied him for a long time. He saw not a foolish boy, but a determined man. We will try, he said at last. But prepare your heart. Tears in Wanjiru's home. In her homestead, the reaction was heavier. Her uncles were angry. After everything, from that family, her mother feared rejection would break her daughter's spirit. But Wanjiru knelt before them. I'm not running away, she said. I asked to marry with honor. If they refuse, I will accept your decision. But let them come and speak. Her humility planted a small seed of respect, even among those who opposed her. The first visit, custom demanded that Kamau's family visit with gifts and intentions. The morning they set out, Kamau felt as if stones filled his stomach. Relatives walked beside him, carrying bundles. No one laughed. Even birds seemed to watch. At Wanjiru's gate, they were received formally. Seats were given. Greetings were careful, like steps on thin ice. Then the questions began. Why this girl? Do you understand our history? What makes you think peace can grow where bitterness lived? Kamau answered without raising his voice. Because we are not the past, he said. "But we can heal it." Some elders turned away. Others listened. When they left, no promise had been given. But no door had been closed either. Waiting became its own kind of pain. Weeks passed. Kamau worked in the fields, trying to prove he was responsible. Wanjiru helped her mother, pretending strength she did not always feel. Sometimes they met only with their eyes across the market. That had to be enough. At night, each wondered if hope was foolish. A change of heart. The change began with the oldest elder, a man whose memory carried the entire history of the ridge. He called both families under the Magumo tree. "I have watched," he said slowly. "These young ones did not insult us. They did not run away. They chose patience." He paused. "If we deny them, we teach hatred to another generation." Silence fell, thick as rain clouds. One by one, heads began to nod. Permission. When the words finally came, they were simple. Let the marriage continue. Wanjiru cried openly. Kamau covered his face, overwhelmed. Years of distance cracked in that moment. Women began planning immediately. Both were discussed. Dates were argued. Joy pushed sorrow aside. The wedding that rewrote memory. On the wedding day, the hills woke early. Drums echoed. Children ran everywhere. Bright cloth shimmered in the sun. Laughter rose from homestead to homestead. Kamau stood tall, hardly believing the journey had brought him here. Wanjiru emerged, radiant, carried by songs from the women. When they were finally declared husband and wife, ululations burst into the air like birds set free. Old enemies shared food. Old bitterness tasted sweetness. Years later, people still spoke of that wedding. They said it reminded the community that tradition was not a wall meant to trap the future. It was a bridge, and bridges were meant to be crossed. Kamau and Wanjiru would sit in the evenings, watching their children play, sometimes squeezing each other's hands in quiet disbelief. Love had not ignored culture. It had walked through it. And because of that, the hills had finally agreed.